Naughty by Nature, Poverties Paradise. It's been a while. Welcome to It's Been a While. I'm Free Tillman. This is a series where I talk about albums that I loved as a kid, but for whatever reason I stopped listening to them. And today we're talking about Poverties Paradise by Naughty by Nature. Before I continue, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when I release a new video, and leave a comment, say whatever you want. If I don't like it, I'll just delete it. Also, this album is pretty long, so I'm not going to talk about every song and every skit. I'm just going to go over the tracks that I think are worth discussing. Okay, Poverties Paradise. In a recent episode, I talked about Naughty by Nature's previous album, 1993, a record that I felt was solid, but not as good as their 1991 album. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I like this album more than both of them. It may have to do with the fact that I bought 1993 with my older brother, and since he was older, sometimes he didn't let me listen to it. But I bought this one with my own money so I can listen to it as much as I wanted. If you want to hear my full thoughts on Naughty by Nature, you can watch my 1993 video. I remember this album being really long with a lot of skits and a lot of posse cuts. When I look over the track listing, I remember about half the songs, but I think I may have liked the first half better than the second. And that's about all I can remember. So let's see if my memories are right. The first full song on this album is also the first single, Clap Your Hands, and I have to take a second to say that Naughty by Nature is underrated in general, but KG is criminally underrated as a producer. It's weird that his name doesn't come up more often. This single didn't do as well as the other singles from this album, and I'm not sure why. The production is great, we get great verses from Tretch and Vinny. I think the problem may be that the hook, which borrows from Earth, Wind & Fire's Devotion, isn't forceful enough and maybe not as catchy. And a line that always makes me laugh from the song is, "We can go deep like way down. Hi Lobster." It's Workin' features Rotten Rascals, a group closely associated with Naughty by Nature mostly because one of the members is Tretch's younger brother. A part of Tretch's verse is dedicated to Reverend Calvin Butts. Reverend Butts is famous in hip hop circles because in 1993, I almost said Naughty 3. Reverend Butts is famous in hip hop circles because in 1993, he and a few hundred of his supporters steamrolled boxes of hip hop CDs and cassettes in front of his church. If you've ever heard the intro to Thuggish Ruggish Bone by Bone Thugs and Harmony, you know Reverend Calvin Butts. The Rotten Rascals actually do a decent job of keeping up with Tretch on this one, but aside from that, there's not much going on this one. The B-side to Clap Your Hands is The Chain Remains, a song where Tretch explains why he wears a chain around his neck. It's basically a sign of solidarity to his incarcerated friends and family. He also takes aim at the crooked police and the living conditions that put them there. And this wasn't technically a single, but they did shoot a video for it. The album switches gears on the third and most successful single from the album, Feel Me Flow, a song that's in the same vein as OPP and Hip Hop Array, but different enough to not be an obvious clone. This is the only single from the album that doesn't feature Vinny. The song was also featured in the movie 8 Mile, which makes sense seeing as the movie takes place in 1995 and because M is a huge Naughty by Nature fan. The album switches gears yet again on the second single from the album, Craziest, which may have my favorite production on this album. The synthesizers make it sound like a G-Funk boom bap hybrid. The video features Blink and You Missed It cameos from Coolio, Outkast, Goody Mob, Benzino, and probably a bunch of other rappers I don't recognize. We are 10 tracks deep into this album, and this is only the second verse from Vinny, but what a verse it is. In an interview while trying to deflect questions of him ghostwriting for Criss Cross, Jermaine Dupri mentioned that Vinny didn't write his own rhymes. Vinny never mentions Dupri by name because he talked to him face to face and squashed the beef, and Tretch does not go that route. He calls out JD by name for basically taking his style and giving it to Criss Cross. After this, the album kind of goes into autopilot with the obligatory track for the Lady Sunshine, the laid back Respect, and the social commentary of World Go Round. None of these are bad songs and worth a listen, but after you've heard them once, you pretty much get it. The song Click Cloud Click Cloud was actually the B-side to Written on Your Kitten from their last album, and they decided to add it to this one. It was never officially released as a single, but they did shoot a video for it. It's a posse cut that includes Naughty by Nature, Road Dogs, Rotten Rascals, and Cruddy Click, and every MC holds their own on this one. Unfortunately, for all three of the groups, this would pretty much be the highlight of their careers. Road Dogs were signed to Mac 10's label Who Bangin'. They did a bunch of soundtrack work, dropped one album, and then disappeared. Rotten Rascals released one album with a couple of decent singles and disappeared. And Cruddy Click never even released an album and they disappeared. And it's a shame because, like I said, they were all pretty great MCs. The album ends like the two previous albums with 7 minutes of shoutouts featuring fellow New Jersey native Gordon Chambers. In this song, they mention 40 cities, 70 radio stations, and over 100 radio personalities. The final song is the posse cut Connections that was also featured in the New Jersey Drive Volume 2 soundtrack. The sound features the previous crews we've already heard along with Candy Kane, an MC that, like everyone else, pretty much only appeared on this album and then disappeared. Not really. If you take out the skits and the 7 minutes of shoutouts, there's about 50 minutes of music, which is probably too much. There aren't any truly bad songs, but there are just too many that aren't great. Like 1983, this is a solid album that could have trimmed the fat a little bit. So, when's the last time you heard Poverties Paradise? Are you still bumping it to this day? I'm going to keep talking about albums until I run out. Until then, I am Free Tillman, the only guy on the internet that doesn't know everything. Peace.